and cupronickel. Feature: rice copper is generally based on zinc as the main activity element. Rice is generally based on silicon as the main element. Cupronickel is generally based on nickel as the main activity element. Application: one is electrical industry. Two is transportation industry. 3. Construction industry. And the last one is aviation industry. Next, grades and properties from copper alloy. You can see the grade divided into copper 1 and copper 2. For copper 1, the composition: copper contains more than 99.95%. Impurity contains less than 0.05%. For copper 2, the copper contains more than 99.9%, and the impurity contains less than 1.1%. For use, copper 1, for making and casting copper wires ingots, copper rods, or copper casting alloys. Copper 2, it is suitable for electrical copper wires, conductive thinners, copper rods, and profiles. Properties: good conductivity. Next, copper alloy comparison table. You can see the H196 is the China standard. The copper zinc 5 is DIN standard. And the copper zinc 5 is EN standard. H65 is China standard, and the copper zinc 36 is EIN standard. H62 is China standard, and the copper zinc 30 is EIN standard. Next, production types and process for copper alloy. The first one, production types for copper alloy. Copper rods, copper tubes, copper plates, copper foil and strips, copper powder, copper castings and forgings. The third one, the second one is process for copper alloy. Hot rolling process and cold rolling process for copper rods, tubes, plates, and foils. Die casting process and precision casting for copper castings and forgings. Electrical method, optimization method, and reduction method for copper powder. Next, some photos for copper alloy, such as copper round rod, rice copper plate, rice copper tubes, for copper alloy. You can see this photo is our products for copper alloy. This is the copper casting we exported to Australia. We adopted casting process. Material is C95210. Next, test report. This one is chemical composition test report for copper alloy. The material is C95210. You can see the copper content is 186.84. Next, dimensional check report for copper alloy. This photo is copper alloy. Next, part 2, aluminum alloy. Hand log for aluminum alloy. The first one, basic information for aluminum alloy. The second one is grades and properties for aluminum alloy. The third one, show our samples for aluminum alloy. The first one, production types and process for aluminum alloy. Last one, export case for aluminum alloy. The first thing, basic information for aluminum alloy. Composition, general term for aluminum-based alloys. The main alloy elements are copper, silicon, magnesium, zinc, manganese, and the secondary alloy elements are nickel, iron, titanium, and chromium. For color is silvery white. For density is 2.7 grams. For melting point is about 660 degrees. For advantage, pure aluminum has no density, no melting point, high plasticity, easy processing, and strong corrosion resistance. For disadvantage, no intensive solution. Extending other elements or heat treatment. For classification, according to processing, cast aluminum alloy and the deformed aluminum alloy. According to chemical composition, aluminum silicon alloy, aluminum copper alloy, aluminum magnesium alloy, aluminum zinc alloy, and aluminum ring is alloy. Application: aviation, aerospace, automotive, machinery, manufacturing, shipbuilding, and chemical industry and weldings. Next, grades and properties for aluminum alloy. You can see The 5052 H112, the hardness is 60 HRC. 4661, the hardness is 19.5 HRC. 4075, the hardness is 150 HRC. Next, you can see the grid CL101. The porosity is 6.5 to 7.5%, and the aluminum is balanced. The magnesium is 0.25 to 2.45. For DL104, the silicon is 8.0 to 10.5%. The magnesium is 0.2 to 0.5%, and the aluminum is balanced. Next, feature of each story for aluminum alloy. One story. The main feature is the highest content of aluminum, with a feature of the over 99.0%. It is creating the most commonly used material in conventional industries. Two series. The main feature is that the hardness is relatively high and the propagation of copper content is relatively. Reactive is 3 to 5%. Most are the aviation materials. Three stories. The main feature is the better at-rest function. The content of the magnesium is relatively high, 1.0 to 1.5%. Four series. The main features are no melting point, wear resistance, heat resistance, and crossing resistance. The content of the silicon is relatively high, 4.5 to 6.0%. Generally used in construction, metrical parts, forging, welding. 5 stories. The main features are no density, high tensile stress, high elegation, and good vacuum stress, but cannot be stressed by high heat treatment. The content of the magnesium is relative high, 3 to 5%, and the generally used in battery. 6 series. The most important feature is a cold treat aluminum products, which contains the advantage of the 4 series and the 5 series, with higher silicon and magnesium content, better crossing resistance, series. Aluminum foil, box, and plates are not commonly used. 9 series. There is no outstanding feature. It is a spare alloy. Next, the meaning of the letters in aluminum alloy. For O is the noise hardness. F, pre-processed stain. H, work hardening stain. W is mean solution heat treatment stain. P is meaning heat treatment stain. Next, production types for process for aluminum alloy. Production types for aluminum alloy. Aluminum round bars, aluminum tubes, aluminum plates, aluminum foils and strips, aluminum powder, aluminum castings and forgings. Process for aluminum alloy. Hot rolling process and cold rolling process for aluminum round rolls, tubes, plates, strips, and foils. Die casting process and the processing castings for aluminum castings and forgings. Electrical method, optimization method, and the reaction method for aluminum powder. Next, some photos for aluminum alloy. The first one is aluminum round rolls. The second one is aluminum plates. The third one is aluminum powder. The first one is aluminum tubes. The fifth one is aluminum castings and forgings. Next, export kits for aluminum alloy. This one is aluminum casting. We export to Russia. The process is processing casting. The material is CL101. Next, test report for aluminum alloy. You can see this one is chemical composition test report. The material is CL101. For chemical composition, the setting is about 6.9, and the aluminum is balanced. Next, this one is dimensional check report for aluminum alloy. This one is our product joints. Okay, if you have interest in our aluminum alloy and copper alloy, please follow our shop. Thank you. That's all for my speech now. Thank you.
讲的时间长。哎呀，那我唯一的一手视频面条126了。
Welcome my phone.
ESC 自己找一下。ESC 7点。
Hello everyone, this is Steve. Later I'll show you my PPT mini crusher. Let's begin my online show. This is Steve. The mini crusher index about the 4 parts. The first part is the concept of the crusher, and the second is the application field of crusher. The third part is classification of it, and the last part is some parameters of the crusher. So the first one, mini crushers are also called the rock crushers, which refer to crushing machinery whose discharge has a particle size greater than 3 mm and accounts for more than 50% of the total discharge volume. According to the size of filling and discharging, granularity crusher are often divided into pulverized crusher, medium crusher, and fine crusher. Application field of crusher in metallurgy, mining, chemical, cement, and other industrial sectors, a large amount of raw materials are reused. Waste needs to be processed by crushers every year. For example, in a beneficiation plant, in order to separate the useful minerals in the ore into monomers, it is necessary to use a crusher to crush the raw ore to the particle size required by the grinding process. And it is also necessary to use crushing machinery to crush the raw materials to the particle size required by the next operation. In departments such as caulking plants, sintering plants, ceramic plants, glass industry, and powder metallurgy, so crushing machinery must be used to crush the raw materials to the particle size required by the next operation. So in the chemical and electric power sectors, crushing and grinding machinery crushes and grinds raw materials, increasing the surface area of materials and creating favorable conditions for shortening the time of chemical reaction of materials, with the rapid development of the industry and the rapid reduction of resources. So the reuse of waste material in the production of various departments is very important. So the reprocessing of this waste material needs to be crushed by crushing machinery. So there are some pictures about the application application field, and, such as mining, road construction, and construction industry, branding, goldstone, and cobblestone, iron ore, so on. Next page. You can take a look. This is the third part of the crusher. It's about the classification. So according to the way of the crushing process, the crusher can be roughly divided into two categories: crusher and a grinding machine. So today we mainly introduce the crusher. Generally handles larger pieces of materials and the product sizes covers. According to the crushing method and the structural characteristic of the machine, roughly divided into 6 categories: jaw crusher, impact crusher, vertical impact crusher, and a corner crusher, hammer crusher, roller crusher. So then I'll show you the first gel crusher. The crusher chamber is composed of 2 gel planes, a mobile gel and a static straw, which simulates the movement of the angle straw to complete the material crushing operation. You can see the right GIF. Features about the gel crusher is the preferred equipment for primary crushing. It has the characteristic of large crushing radius, uniform product size, and simple structure, reliable work, simple maintenance, and economical operating costs. So first factors. Low noise and less dust. Next factor is the crushing radius is large and the product size is uniform. The structure is simple and the work is reliable. The operating cost is low. The lubrication system is safe and reliable. The replacement of parts is convenient and the equipment maintenance is simple. The crushing gap is deep and there is no depth room, which improves the feeding capacity and output. Equipment energy saving. Single machine energy saving is about 15% to the 30%. System energy saving is more than double. The adjustment range of the discharge of plane is large and which can meet the requirements of different users. Corner crusher. Corner crusher is a crushing machine suitable for raw materials in metallurgy, construction, road construction, chemistry, and the silicate industries. According to different crushing processing and different product particle size, it is divided into many models. They are widely used in meanings: building materials, highways, railways, and water conservancy, and chemical industry and many other sectors. The corner crusher has a large crushing radius, high efficiency, and a low energy consumption, uniform product size, suitable for medium and fine crushing of barrels, ores, and rocks. Features about this crushing is about 8 features. The first is a higher production capacity and a better quality. Due to the safe devices, the downtime is greatly reduced. The machine body is a cold steel structure with reinforcement ribs sit at the heavy dusty part, which with an adjuster it can quickly adjust the size of the crush sheet and discharge the materials. Provide free protection device. With a complete lubrication system, it will automatically shut down when the temperature is too high or the flow rate is too slow. With a complete lubrication system, it will automatically shut down when the internal structure has a good sealing performance, which can effectively protect the equipment from dust and other small particles. A low spice and last feature is it has low spice life and strong applicability. The third one is impacted crusher. The impacted crusher is mainly used for maintenance, chemical industry, building materials, hydropowder, and other materials that often require relocation operations, especially for mobile storm operations such as highways, railways, and hydropowder projects. It can be based on the type, skill, and the size of the raw materials to be processed. The different requirements of finished materials adopt a variety of configuration forms. The feature about the impacted crusher, the first one is the impacted crusher is more effective in processing materials with a large amount of moisture and effectively prevent the materials from closing. The second one is the impacted crusher is applicable to a wider range of materials, hydrologers. Next, it is convenient and flexible to adjust the discharging particle size, and the adjustment range is wide. The next, the wiring parts are small and the mental utilization rate is high. The last feature is the replacement of the spare part is simple and the maintenance cost is correspondingly reduced. So, this is the hammer crusher. There are two pictures about it. A hammer crusher is a kind of equipment for crushing materials in the form of impact. It is divided into two types, the single rotor and the double rotor. It is a one-stage crusher that directly crushes materials with a mixing particle size of 600 to 1,800 millimeter to 25 or below 25 millimeter. The hammer crusher is suitable for crushing medium harder materials such as limestone, slate, coke, coal, and other materials in cement, chemical, electric powder, and metal, lead, and other industrial sectors. There are four pictures about this large crusher. The first one, large crushing radial and high production capacity. The second one, the product is uniform and there is needle over powder for the filament. The third one, low energy consumption per unit product and simple structure. The last one, the equipment is light and in weight and easy to operate and maintain. Reliable mechanical structure and high production efficiency, good applicability. Roll crusher, there are two pictures, you can see it. The roll crusher used one pair or two pair of oppositely rotating around the roller to crush materials. The materials filled between the two rollers through the upper feeding hole of the equipment and is brought into gap between the two rollers by friction and is gradually crushed and the finished materials leak from the lower part. When encountering materials that are too harder to broken, the rollers automatically retract it to increasing the gap between the rollers. And the overhead materials filled with the action of hydraulic cylinders or springs. The roller in return to the original gap, thereby protecting the machine and adjusting the gap between the two rollers. You can control the mixing particle size of the product. And features about this crusher is about our common use the roller crusher has the following adjusted: a simple structure, managed maintenance, and it has low manufacturer's cost. It is mainly suitable for coarse and intermediate crushing of brittle lump materials emitting metallurgy, chemical, coal, and other industry. Its field size is large and the output size is adjustable. Especially in the coil industry, the use of this machine to crush and roll coil can be directly crushed as long as it undergoes iron removal, impurity removal, and low gauge removal. The crushed materials has uniform particle size and a low excessive crushing rate, which is simply simplifies the coal preparation process and reduce the investment and production costs. Some others. Today, only some common classification and introduced. In actual application, there will be more and more detailed classifications, such as gyratory crusher and compounder crusher. So the last part is about the pyramid of crusher. And according to the different purpose, the parameter of concern are slightly different. Some common ones are inlet size, outlet size, output, power. So the price is not only the decisive factor, but to decide the choice according to the one's own needs, in order to save time and save the cost. So thank you. I hope that everyone could get a rough understanding of crusher by today's introduction. So above is all my online show part. Welcome our colleague Helen.
接下一页。
Hello everyone. I will introduce ductile iron manhole cover and grill covers. The first way will introduce advantages of ductile iron. There have many advantages. The first one is good toughness. The impact value is similar to that of medium carbon steel, which is more than 10 times of free ironage. The second advantage is high strength. Tensile strength OE equal and more than 420 MPa. Yield strength OS equal and more than 300 MPa. The same as low carbon steel, 3 times the free ironage. The third advantage is good plasticity. Elongation equal and more than 7% similar to high carbon steel, but free iron data elongation is almost zero. The fourth advantage is strong corrosion resistance. In the water spray corrosion test, the corrosion amount in 90 days is only 1/30 of the steel pipe and 1/10 of the free iron pipe. The survival life is twice that of free iron pipe and 5 times that of ordinary steel pipe. There is a last advantage about ductile iron. Good damping and low cost. Because of the nodular graphite microstructure of nodular cast iron, it is superior to cast steel in reducing vibration. An important reason for choosing sphero-graphite cast iron is such kind of cast iron has a lower cost than cast steel. The low cost of nodular cast iron makes this material more popular. The casting efficiency is higher. The machining cost of nodular cast iron is also reduced. There is also some characteristics of ductile iron manhole covers. The first, no noise during service, in line with environmental requirements. The contact surface between the body and the ring is almost zero. We adopt 3 processes to assure 100% seamless match to eliminate the noise when the vehicles are passing by. The second characteristic is the tensile strength, toughness, strong bearing force. The above are several times that of ordinary cast iron, which are close to the material of steel. The carrying capacity is much better than the national standards. It can withstand all kinds of heavy struck rolling. It can effectively prevent the accident from the failure of manhole covers. And the third is safety. The integrated connection of our safe ductile iron manhole cover will not follow the ground and will not shift. The first is no-slip casting process. The exquisite non-slip casting technology makes our production lines clear, and the unique non-slip pattern on the surface of the manhole cover increases the friction to prevent pedestrians from slipping due to rain, snow, and ice. Next, I will introduce the features of ductile iron grill cover. There have many features. First is bigger bearing capacity. Second one is better anti-slip capacity. Third is better fixing performance. It will not be lifted or washed away by rainwater during heavy rain.
Drainage manhole cover are generally designed for drainage when it rains in the city center. The material is generally cast iron, with a gap in the middle to facilitate the smooth flow of water into the well. And there is generally a row of strong sticks to block dirt or other debris. And easy construction, light in weight, better in load bearing, impact resistant, anti-bending, more beautiful and durable after hard zinc treatment. Better anti-corrosions. We adopt hang connection or hook connection, which is easy to open and has anti-theft function. There have many standards. The standards have different bearing capacity and used for different application found. If the cover used in the pedestrians and bicycles, you can choose the standard about A15. The A15, the bearing capacity is 1.5 ton. If the cover used on the footpath, pedestrian area, car parks, or parking platforms, you can use the B100 to 125. The bearing capacity is 12.5 ton. If used on the digs beside the road, you can choose the standard is C250. Bearing capacity is 25 tons. Another application file is roadway carriageway, including pedestrian access, hard shoulder, and parking area. You can choose the standard is D400. Bearing capacity is 40 ton. And the standard about E600. The bearing capacity is 600. It can be used for aircraft hangars and flight runways. And the standard about F900. The bearing capacity is 90 tons. It can use it on the aircraft. There have different sizes and shapes of manhole covers. Okay, there is an example. The first product of the cover. There have two sides about it. The first size is outside diameter is 300 mm and 300 mm. And the cover diameters is 280 mm. And there have a different clear opening depths, unit weight, and weight according the loading capacity weight according to the EN 124. Another example. Every products there have two sides, and every size have outside diameter, cover, diameter, clear opening, depth, unit weight, and loading capacity. You can choose your like. Okay, this is round one. The round, if you purchase the round, you need to tell us about the outside diameter. The outside diameter is different. The same products have two sides. The outside diameter can be 900 mm or 800 mm, and different cover diameters, different clear opening, different depths, different unit weight, we also according to EN 124. Another example, if you purchase the outside the out diameter about 650 mm, the cover diameter is about 530 mm. Clear opening is 510 mm. Depth is 100 mm. Unit weight is 58 kg. And the next is about the outside diameter is 850 mm. The cover diameter is 635 mm, and a clear opening is 600 mm. The depth is 100 mm. Unit weight is 65 kg. This is a square. A square cover, there have the standard about length, width, depth, and unit weight. Also, there have different sizes and shapes of grill covers. This is a different sizes about grill covers. Also, the grill covers have length, width, depth, unit weight, and the round grill cover have the outside diameter, cover diameter, clear opening, depth, unit weight, and loading capacity. Certainly, we have not only this size of products, but also many other sizes. For the time reasons, we only introduce this. We can also customize various size of ductile iron manholes covers and grill covers according to the client's requirements. Okay, let's look the manhole cover production videos. This is our production plans. This is a factory smelting furnace. This is a picture about we're pouring. The following chart. The first one is shot plating and finished product assembly, anti-rust treatment. Thank you. Above is my ductile cast iron manhole cover and great covers production introduction.
谁给你抢了？能给慢一点吗？
别人都是完成的，就你这个。
太快了吗？
何止是太快了呀！你让王子浩一个人得多久啊？
好，我现在13分钟啊。这10几分钟，这10几分钟好吗？
尽可能的把那个里面的东西一个一个涂一遍，我想时间久一点。
Good noon, everyone. This is Ethan again. Now I will tell you about our mental product. Here is a catalog of our products. There are about 4 parts.
你要把王子浩累
First
死
part is nickel powder, and the second part is the aluminum powder, and the third part is the copper powder, and the fourth part is the cobalt powder. Now let's begin the first part about our nickel powder. This picture is our metal product called the nickel powder. As you see, the color in the picture is like black. The metal pigments with metallic nickel as the main component, including nickel powder and flake nickel powder. Nickel powder is distilled and purified. This flake nickel powder is made of high nickel powder in the process of suitable lubricant and liquid manure. It's ground with a steel ball in ball mill to form a plate of steel ball suitable thickness. Here is basic information of our nickel powder. First is the color and the shape of our nickel powder. Usually, the nickel powder is green, regular powder, and it is easy to oxidize in most moist air. And that is the uses of the nickel powder. Usually, we use nickel powder to prepare off-roads yellow, high temperature resistant, and anti-oxidation materials, and magnetical materials can also be used as a hydrogenation catalyst for chemical reactions. And the next is the packing of nickel powder. The nickel powder usually packed with positive gas, emitting plastic bags, cold bags, and iron drums. Let me show you some pictures of our nickel powders. This is the produce the nickel powder we have made. As you see, the color is as always as you see is in green. And due to the different mesh of the nickel powder, so you can see there have a difference between the first due to its mostly its mesh is about 300, and then another is about 60 mush. So you can see the second nickel powder is looks better than the first one. And this is our symbol of nickel powders. Usually it be packed in some candy. You can see the nickel powder easily and other packing. Here is the package we usually package our nickel powders. If you make order for nickel powder, we will prepare a pattern to package it. And in it is the oxylated plastic bags or the aluminum bags. As you can see in the next pictures, they package well, and you should not worry about if it can be wet or other situation may happen when it's a delivery or on the transport. And if you order more than 10 kilogram grains, we will package these co-powders in 2 drums. As you can see on the 6 pictures, there are 2 kinds of drums. First is plastic drums, and another is metal drums. Now I will show you the test report of our nickel powders. The size is usually either to 40 UN to 200 UN. And the composure of the nickel powder standard. The nickel take about 99.77%. And another element is less than, for example, the carbon, which we test after we test, the carbon takes about 0.09, and the cobalt, which we need less than 0.01. And in fact, stand is 0.001. It's less than the 0.01. The fusioner is about 0.001. So our co-powder is purity. Although it could not attend to the 99.99. We will try our best to produce more purity nickel powders for you. So you don't worry about the purity of our nickel powder. We will try our best to give you a better nickel powders. And the second part is about our aluminum powders. Now I will give you some basic information of aluminum powder. Okay, this picture, the color is the same as the nickel powders as you see before, but the aluminum powder, commonly known as sleeve powder, that is sleeve material pigment, a small amount of uric yes, added to pure aluminum gradually into then polished. There are some information about the aluminum powders, which first use is as same as the nickel powder, which I told you before. First is the color of the aluminum powder. As you see the photo before, the aluminum powder is usually soluble white metal powder, so it is bright than the nickel powders. And what's the uses of the aluminum powders? We usually use aluminum powders to paintings, for links, and fireworks. So it is important metal powders used in our daily life. So it is one of the main powders we should export to other countries. And maybe you have some questions on our picking of aluminum powders. We use a different chemical situation, so we should pack it with different package. For example, the aluminum powders packed with protective gas limited plastic bags and cloth bags and iron drums. Now I will show you some photos about our aluminum powders. The first picture, as you see, is our aluminum powders, which is about 325 mesh. And another is also aluminum powder, but it's about 100 mesh. So you will see the second layer looks better than the first aluminum powders. And the third picture is our aluminum powders as a sample, which is packed in bottles. And the package is as usual as the nickel powders before. It is also used oxygen limited magic bags or cloth bags or other aluminum bags. It also can be packed in metal drums. As you see before, there are also plastic drums for you to pack it. Because the package is depend on you. And now I will give you the test report of aluminum powders we have tested before. The aluminum powders is pure aluminum. The composition standards is more than 99.90. It's more purity than the nickel powders you see before. But with our knowledge development, we will also can make more purity nickel powders like aluminum powders. You can see is 99.90. So don't worry about the purity of our nickel powders. And And the third part is our copper powders. Copper powders is different from another two powders which I told you before. It's not like the nickel powders and the aluminum powders. Due to there are two main types and another type of the copper powder. First, of course, is the three copper powders. And another is copper anode powders. Both of them take half of the copper powders. And the copper anode powders is may have two elements. The first take more than 60% is copper, and another 48% is zinc. So now I will tell you some information about the copper powder production process. First is the copper powder. The copper powder you look on the screen is usually like yellow. And the purity powder, as you see, more like orange or red. So we can get a assumption that if the copper powder will be more purity, the color will more darker than red. The production process of the copper powder is divided into electrolytic method, atomization method, and reduction method. Now the most used method is the atomization of the copper powders. Now I will also tell you some information about the copper powders. First is the pure copper powders. The color of the pure copper powders usually is red, and the color of the copper anode powder is yellow. Usually it is easy to understand. Due to the copper usually used in our daily life, you can see it's also like red coppers and other coppers. The color usually is red, and if you have other element added to the anode, copper anodes, if you add zinc, you will see the color of the copper anode will be like yellow. If you add more zinc into the copper anodes, so the color will be more bright than others. And what can the copper powders can use? Copper powders has a wider use than aluminum powders. Due to aluminum powders usually just can used in painting, links, and fireworks. But the copper powders have more widely used. For example, we usually use copper powders to the powder mantle grade and like most tools and sealing materials, electrical copper powder, and metal conducting materials, conductive materials, welding materials, and superhead materials, and friction materials, and Superman, technical and chemical industries. Totally, the copper powder is used for the 10 industries. And maybe you have a question about how to package the copper powders. Is it different from other two powders like nickel powders or aluminum powders? Due to the copper powder is also a nickel powder, so the package have a little difference, but usually they were packaged with protective gas, limited lined plastic bags, clothes bags, and idle drums. Now I will show you some photos about the copper anodes. So first, mantle powders I show you. Can you guess what's the copper powder? Yes, purity or the copper anodes. Due to its color, you can see it's more accounted to red. So you can depend on its colors to confirm it is pure copper powders. And there's also we can see it's more darkness than the first picture. It's also pure copper powders. Due to the first mesh is about 325. Another is about 100 mesh. So you will see the secondary picture of the pure copper powder looks better than the first one. If you need the mesh less, and the copper powder will look better. And this is also the symbol of our pure copper powders. Due to the light is not bright, so maybe you will see the color is like brown. In fact, the color in light is red. And the next pictures you can see. Yes, copper anode powders. Because we add scenic elements to this powder, so it usually looks like yellow. Due to the different mesh of the powder, so the powder will look different by our eyes. Usually we can see the copper anode will be finer than the pure copper powders. As you see, the six features. Now I will show you the test report of the copper powders. The first test report is the pure copper powders. As you can see, the first is cobalt. This is the copper, which take about 99.9%. And another element is less than 0.04. So the pure copper powder gets more purities and the nickel powders about 99.72. And the next test report is our copper yellow powders. And you see the chemical compositions which we analyzed. The copper usually takes 60%, and the zinc is take about 39.83%. So usually the copper anode is about two main elements. One is the copper, another is zinc. And now it's first part about other metal powders we have produced. For example, like a cobalt powder. The material of copper powders. This is a picture of copper powders. Maybe you think it looks like the nickel powders, which I showed you before, but in fact it's a cobalt powder. The raw material for the production of cobalt powder is cobalt oxalate. Now I will show you some information about our cobalt powder. First thing is, as here, and I told you about the nickel powder, aluminum powder, copper powder, pure copper powder, copper aluminum powder. The first thing is color. As you see before the picture, the color of the pure cobalt powder is green. So maybe you will make a mistake to how to figure out which powder is nickel and which powder is cobalt. But don't worry, when we deliver it, we will attend with a test report of the powder. And then maybe you don't know what can the cobalt powder can use for. The cobalt used as mental products such as cement, cabbage, and the dynamos tools, and the high temperature anodes, genetic materials, and chemical products such as rechargeable batteries, industrial blasting engines, rockets, cobalt powders used in 5 industries. It's widely used than the aluminum powders, and less than the copper and nickel powders. So it is also the main metal powders we have exposed to another countries. And also the same information, but how to package. Of course, the package is also the same as the 3 powders which I told you before, like nickel powders, copper powders, pure copper powders, copper anode powders, aluminum powders, and nickel powders. They are usually packaged with gas-lined prefectural gas-lined plastic bags, frozen bags, and metal drums. Now there are 2 different pictures of cobalt powders. As you can see, the first picture looks better than the secondly. Due to the second picture is about 325 mesh. So the first picture is more small than the secondly size. And the third is the symbol we usually give you to see. It's about 100 mesh. And if you want to smaller size of the cobalt powders, we can provide the size between 1 mm to 50 mm. And the cobalt powders is usually packaged in the drums. For, as you see on the pictures, it's metal drums, which we type some information by paper. As you can see, first is whose name is cobalt oxide, and the second is the active weight is about 25 kilograms, and that is the general weight is about 26.8 kilograms. So the metal drums is about 1.8 kilograms heavier. If you use this metal drum to delivery, so you need to pay more transport costs. Due to the metal drums is heavier, but you should. So if you want to this package is older number more than 105 kilograms. And here is the mesh we can produce about the powders. And we have other powders as you can see on the screens. And if you want to another powders, please send an inquiry to us. on Alibaba performance. That's all for today's live show. Thank you for your watching and see you next week.